Good morning, everyone. This is Rick Murphy from AllNet. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. On the line today, we've got Mike Dyer from Sound United. He's going to be reviewing with us the new products from Marantz that were released at the recent CEDIA show in San Diego. As always, please feel free to ask questions in the questions box on the toolbar to your right-hand side of your screen. And we will review the questions at the end of the presentation. Everyone's microphone should be muted. So if you've got questions, again, please feel free to type them into the questions box and we will address every question toward the end of the presentation. So Mike, the floor is yours.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for your time today. As Rick said, I'm Mike Dyer. I'm a director of sales with Sound United. Those of you that may not be familiar with Sound United, that's the parent company for Marantz, DENON, Polk Audio, Definitive Technology, Class A Audio, HEOS, Boston Acoustics, and I've been with the company a little over 20 years. Came up on the speaker side with Definitive Technology, and as the companies have merged, we've been on quite a tear, quite a roll. So what we'd like to talk to you today about is Marantz, and which obviously is available at AllNet, and I'll bring you up to speed with what you may have missed if you didn't attend CEDIA, and then we're going to talk about some new technologies that are coming through. So it's going to be a brief run through. So we'll do the CEDIA recap, what we did at the booth, the theater we set up, the awards, the trainings we did. Then we'll do a Marantz AVR overview, kind of a quick feature by feature, price by price kind of run through. We're going to spend quite a bit of time on the new technology that is IMAX enhanced home theater. IMAX is entering the home world. We all are familiar with that brand name, what it is and why it matters. We're going to talk a little bit about smart remote management, which I know that AllNet and Snap AV are very, very involved with, and will be leading the charge. And this is going to be a great thing for custom integrators moving forward. We like to call it the killer app for CI. We've already talked about the station and Sound University. So our CEDIA booth was very, very large this year, to the point where we had to basically present all of our brands by concept as opposed to by models. So we had an area for new technologies, we had an area for AVRs, we had a technology for 2-channel, we had a large IMAX theater, et cetera, et cetera. Our message was very simple at the booth this year. Sound United is the only audio partner you need. So depending on if you're doing streaming audio, sound bars, 2-channel, home theater, AVRs, separates, if it's the motor that runs the sound of your audio video world, Sound United is the only company you need. Anywhere from entry level up to super premium. So a little plug for some of our other brands here. These are the 2018 CEDIA award winners that are all available at AllNet. The Definitive Technology Demand Series won the Twice VIP Award. The HEOS Home Cinema HS2 also won the Twice VIP Award. And our flagship in the Marantz line, the AV8805, which, by the way, if you've not used an 8805 or its predecessor, the 8802, this is the defining AV processor in its price point. This is the piece that everybody says, if you want something better, plan on spending double the price. And that was the Excite winner that at CEDIA this fall. So also at CEDIA, we had excessive training. We had free training that was just off the main floor. We delivered 9 separate trainings over 3 days. We partnered with URC, Domos, Luxel, DTS, and AudioQuest to build a theater, and the feedback was incredible. We trained nearly 300 different people between 9 sessions. We did get feedback, and we can do much better next year. We were hard to find this year. We didn't communicate as well as we could, and possibly we'll incent folks for attending. But it was a great training session. Again, Jeff Cowan did a tremendous job. I truly think that Jeff is one of the best, if not the best, trainer in the industry. So the cornerstone at our booth was the Sound United Theater, and we'll talk a little bit about what we had going in there. So right now we'll talk about the Marantz AVRs. We'll start with the NR series, which is 2 models that are the small chassis, or what I would call a half chassis unit. These are products where if you have a customer with space constraints in his rack or in his installation, or a smaller room that doesn't need a ton of horsepower, but they still want top shelf sonic performance. So here's, I'll not ask you to memorize this chart, but if we look at on the left-hand side of the sheet, we've got the NR 1509, and that's our entry-level piece, and that's a 50 watt by 5 AVR. And then the larger block on the right-hand side is the NR 1609, which is the step-up piece. So we'll go through the little guy first. The NR 1509, 50 watts per channel times 5. And again, high current, equal power, discrete outputs, Class AB amplifiers, low impedance drive capabilities. So you can put these, you can put these with rough speakers to drive. It's real amplifiers. It is basically a smaller version of our top shelf products. We really don't have a good, better, best in terms of our amplification and that sort of thing. All of the Marantz receivers now have HEOS built in. The NR 1509 provides processing for Dolby True HD and Digital Plus, DTS HD Master, Pure Direct, RC5 in and out, and IR input. The low profile chassis. One of the major changes for this year is we have gone back to the past, and we've added a phono input, a moving magnet phono input on all of the Marantz AVRs. Full high-res audio support, 2.1 pre-outs, 3-year warranty, Odyssey multi-EQ, and we'll talk a little bit more about Odyssey in a moment. Dynamic volume and EQ, really nice setup assistant, smart TV control, video select for HDMI. New for this year is smart remote management, and we're going to talk about that. Alexa voice control via HEOS, and that is, we're going to talk a little bit about voice control. Sound United is on the leading edge, supporting all of the major players for voice control at this point. Some models do different brands, but we do operate with Siri, we do operate with Alexa, and we do operate with Hey Google. So we are on the leading edge with all of these products. AirPlay 2, this says via update. That update has happened since CEDIA, so we are now AirPlay 2 ready and up and running. HDMI diagnostics, so the receiver actually can check and tell you if your HDMI connections are good, and if they're not good, where they're not good. great four-way binding post, HDMI 2.0, HDCP 2.2, Dolby Vision, 444 color, web setup and control, and 5 rear, 1 front HDMI inputs. Then as we step up to the NR1609, we go to a 50 watt by 7, and that adds Dolby Atmos, DTSX, Neural X, Virtual X, multi-source, multi-zone, component video ins and outs, ISF certification, HDMI video up conversion, and 4K 30 FPS scaling, and 2 zone 2 variable pre-outs along with a 12 volt trigger. So that gets a little bit more of a networked audio, a little bit more of a more sophisticated installation piece. And both of these pieces operate the Odyssey Bronze system, and that's built in. Again, we'll talk a little bit more about that. And what we'll do is, I'm sure there's questions, but we'll hold those till the end. So we will go now to the big boys, the Marantz SR AVR series. These are our full chassis pieces. And again, the going from left to right, the bottom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines are available in all 4 of the models: the SR 5013, the 6013, 7013, and that says 8012, but it's actually an 8013 now. This I didn't catch that typo. Again, still it has the full feature set of the NR1609 that we just talked about: smart remote management, Apple AirPlay, web setup control, all of the things that we've already talked about. It is a 7 channel by 100. We then step up to the SR6013, which is 100 watts by 9. And that adds an 11 channel processor, which gives you the ability to do Odyssey multi-EQ, XT32, sub-EQ, HT, low frequency containment, which is a technology that looks at the base frequencies that typically escape to adjacent room spaces and manages that specific set of frequencies so that you can run more bass and irritate less people. How's that sound? How's that for a phrase? Let's see. We also add in enhanced ARC for Atmos and DTSX on the 6013. In the 7013, we're now up to 125 by 9. And that has Zone 2 component video out, all of the things that you see there, 2 assignable 12 volt triggers, Oro 3D is ready to go. And then our flagship, which is built in our premium factory in Japan, and that has the full copper plated chassis, huge toroidal power supply, and individual amplifier PCBs per channel. It's truly a piece of artwork when you pop the chassis off. The other difference is as if you remember on the NR series, we were looking at the Odyssey Bronze. When we step up to the SR 5013, we go to the Odyssey Silver, then the 6013, 7013, and 8013. All are Odyssey Platinum, and each step up gives you greater acoustic management in the room, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Bronze, gives you multi-EQ, dynamic volume, dynamic EQ. That's available in the NR series, the small chassis pieces. The Silver adds Multi-EQ XT, which is a more sophisticated system and offers 8 measurement positions as opposed to the multi-EQ 6, and also much more sophisticated filters below 200 cycles. So it does a nicer job of bass management or bass interaction in your room. Then with the SR6013 and above, we step up to the multi-EQ XT32, which measures all 8 positions with 32 filters, sub-EQ HT for calibration of multiple subwoofers. LFC filters out those bass frequencies that tend to pass through the room's surfaces and replace them with alternative psychoacoustic appropriate bass energy. Again, better bass with less upset neighbors. And many companies, I'm sure everyone on the call is familiar with Odyssey. They effectively created this technology of room interaction. And basically what Odyssey does is it doesn't correct problems with the audio system. It doesn't correct bad speakers. It doesn't correct bad electronics. But what it does do is it corrects bad interactions between your system and the room. It effectively turns the room into an anechoic chamber and allows the system to operate the way the engineers designed it, whether they be loudspeaker engineers or if they're electronic engineers. So over the last decade or so, a number of manufacturers have come out with their own versions, and we, our take on it is because we've looked at it and we actually, have in some of our other product lines, we have non-Odyssey products, and it's cheaper because you don't have to pay Odyssey licensing fees. However, Odyssey's still the best. We're convinced that nobody does it as good as Odyssey, and it's why we're willing to pay the premium. And so if someone is not using Odyssey, we feel that we have an advantage over that because we truly believe that Odyssey provides the best acoustic management that's currently available in the real world. So and that's really one of the major advantages to Marantz is we sound better. A lot of times I'll get asked the question of since we do build and sell Denon and Marantz, I know that a lot of guys say, well, is it just the faceplate, or are they the same product? Is it just the same as the faceplate? And the answer is no. They're completely different products. If you pull the cans off, you'll see that the Denon and the Marantz products are built completely differently. In an acoustical sense, typically the Denon pieces are going to be a little more zippy, exciting, more jump off the shelf kind of sound. The Marantz pieces are going to be smoother, warmer, fuller, whatever audiophile terms you like to use. I personally prefer the Marantz sound, but if the other difference is the commitment on the Denon side is to always have the latest and greatest technology. But now that Sound United owns everything, the Marantz pieces are going to be at a much more leading edge technology than they ever have in the past. So hopefully that might answer any questions between what's the difference between a Denon and a Marantz if they're built by the same company. What we're going to do now is we're going to talk a little bit about IMAX Enhanced for the home. Everyone, I'm sure, is familiar with IMAX, and you may have gone into the Super Jumbotron IMAX theaters and seen some of these incredible theatrical presentations. IMAX has been around for 50 years. pioneering motion picture technology and experience. Over 450 million people have been entertained since 1970, and there's over 1,000 IMAX theaters worldwide. They have now partnered with DTS, who has 25 years of audio for home cinema, professional cinema, and beyond. There's over 600 DTS X movie theaters worldwide, and at the present time, there's over 150 theatrical DTS X titles. And I'm sure by now everyone's been trained and understands DTSX, which is object-based steering as opposed to channel-based steering. Well, these two powerhouses have come together to create IMAX Enhanced to bring the most immersive entertainment experience into the home. So to make this happen, there's 4 specific pillars. You've got the image, the sound, the scale, and the content. And these are the things that when you go to an IMAX professional commercial theater, those are what you're going to notice. So we'll start with the image first. With IMAX Enhanced, standard 4K content can expose noise and other imperfections. IMAX Enhanced will deliver the great titles that you're looking for, but meticulously remastered utilizing proprietary IMAX DMR technology to be delivered to IMAX Enhanced devices in 4K HDR. It'll have incredible color, contrast, clarity on some of the best displays in the market. The sound is going to be modified or enhanced. Up until now, the professional IMAX signature sound was reserved strictly for commercial theaters. The signature IMAX sound mix will now be delivered to the home systems exclusively by DTS with a greater level of depth, bass, especially deep bass and dynamic range. These movies will really set the stage for punch and hit. IMAX point source theatrical mix optimized by DTS for homes, and IMAX Enhanced processing delivers the IMAX sound in the IMAX commercial theaters. So basically, the sound on the IMAX Enhanced starts with a fundamental DTS-X processor, and then IMAX is remixing and remastering all of these soundtracks the way they feel that IMAX should be presented. So it is an enhanced version of DTS-X. So the Blu-ray players or the streaming is DTS-X based, so you don't need a new source material. It's a remix, and then the processors need to have IMAX capabilities to decode it, but it's not going to require a lot of new hardware, front end, that sort of thing. The next pillar is the scale of the video. Standard content doesn't take full advantage of the consumer displays. So IMAX Enhanced will have bigger, bold images filling more of the consumer's field of view, and support for IMAX expanded aspect ratio, which leverages more of the display to better deliver what the filmmaker intended. Again, trying to fill the screen and not create black bars anywhere. And then content. We'll have exclusive IMAX titles delivered to the home for the first time. Blockbuster films will be remastered for delivery in 4K HDR to IMAX Enhanced devices. IMAX titles will be remastered as the filmmakers intended them to be seen, and signature IMAX multi-channel mixed by DTS. So the net result is an enhanced level of immersive sight and sound that has, up until now, you've only been able to experience at IMAX theaters. And I'm going to kind of scoot through these because we are getting a little snug on time. So the content currently will be made available from Sony, Paramount, and IMAX, their own productions. Delivery will be able to, you'll be able to watch it via 4K Ultra Blu-ray players and 4K HDR streaming services. Audio will be available from Sound United products, both Marantz and Denon, and the little receiver down there, I believe, let's see if I can see that correctly, it looks like it's a Sony. And then the video displays both with front projection and with direct view screens. The displays, so we have OLEDs and LEDs. We'll scoot through this. Projection systems. There we go. Enhanced AV receivers. There's a big Denon or Marantz, excuse me. And coming soon will be IMAX enhanced sound bars. So currently licensed to work with IMAX for the direct displays is Sony Projection. AV receivers is Denon, Marantz, and Sony. And the sound bars are to be announced. So there we have IMAX enhanced.
And Mike?
So what we, yeah.
Yeah, we had Andrew from Sony came into town with the Master Series flat panels, and they are absolutely stunning this year. So for those of you on the call in Illinois, Wisconsin, we can help you with full IMAX enhanced room with Sony video and Marantz audio.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's you know, just a personal aside. It's great to see Sony back where they are. They're really on the top of the pyramid right now, I think. Being an audio guy, what do I know? But at CEDIA, we showed the first 7.1.4 IMAX enhanced demo to the public. We were utilizing the Marantz AV8805 audio video processor, 3 Marantz multi-channel amplifiers, 2 Definitive Technology BP9060s in the front of the room, CS9080 center, SR9080 surround speakers. We had 4 Definitive DI8Rs in the ceiling. We also had 2 additional so that we could switch over to an Atmos 7.1.6. Again, when you've got 13 channels of processing, you've got lots of flexibility as to how you can wire it. We also ran 4 Definitive SuperCube 8000s. We had over 700 attendees sat through the presentation, and the reaction was overwhelmingly positive. And all of these the presentations were done by our Jim Crowley. Those of you in the Chicago and Wisconsin area probably know Crowley, but he did more than 40 demos over 3 days. And then we also we like to say thanks to AudioQuest, Luxel, URC, and Sony for helping make this thing come together. So we've already reviewed what it is. The addition of IMAX further positions Sound United as the premier provider of the immersive audio experience. Dolby Atmos in all 7-channel and larger AVRs, DTSX in all 7-channel AVRs, DTS Virtual X in all 7-channel and larger AVRs, and that is unique to Sound United products. RO 3D is available with the SR7013, and again, as I mentioned to Rick earlier, I didn't even try to go through and edit out all of the Denon information because I knew I would miss something. The ability to switch between Atmos 7.1.6 and RO 3D and the AV8805, unique to us. IMAX enhanced in all Marantz AVRs, starting with the SR6013, unique to us and Sony. And the firmware will be updated later this month. And so, and all this applies to the AV8805 and our lesser expensive preamp processor, the 7705. So let's see, how are we doing for time, Rick? It looks like we got about 5 minutes left.
Mike, we're not on a firm time clock, so go ahead and
Okay.
review the content, and we'll, if anyone has to drop off, they'll drop off, and we'll just upload the recording when we're done.
Fantastic. Thank you, Rick. Okay, smart remote management, and this is something that's going to be very, very important moving forward. It's a concept and a technology that should be able to put a lot of money in the pocket of custom integrators from a standpoint of reduced service calls, reoccurring income, if that's something that should be interesting to everyone. So we set up at CEDIA, we set up a Sound United AVR, and again, it says Denon AVR 4500H. It could have been any of the network Marantz receivers, and these are Jeff's slides that I just borrowed from him. So basically, from San Diego, California, we were able to access a receiver in Manchester, New Hampshire. And then we'll show you a little bit of what we were able to do. And, one dealer said, learning about the SRM was the best 15 minutes he's ever spent at CEDIA. So what are the principal benefits to the dealers? You can identify and resolve some problems remotely without rolling a truck. You can go in via the internet and access what that receiver is doing. And if the kids have pushed the wrong button, you can push the right button over the internet, and so you don't have to roll that truck. You can identify in advance what to bring to the job to resolve a problem that can't be fixed remotely. If it is, if it is a disc player, if it is a game console, if it is a cable, you can probably identify those things. Once the feature's enabled, you'll be able to remotely push updates to their clients' AVRs. So, when there's an update available on their AVR at 2 o'clock in the morning, you can set it to push the update, and the customer never even knows it's been updated. It's seamless. And it could be a source of reoccurring revenue through a maintenance contract. The contractor could put together a service contract and say, once a year, once every 6 months, once every 60 days, whatever it is, we will come visit your system remotely, and we'll double check and make sure that your base management is still set up right, that your inputs are still, that everything is operational, and we only charge this amount of money. And you can do it without even rolling a truck. So who currently is facilitating SRM for Marantz and Denon? Currently, we're working with Ihiji, Control 4, Domotz and Luxel, and then we are working with and in the process of completing software with PackEdge and Backpack and Snap Oversee. So we're working with and I think Rick was saying that the experience that Snap has at this point with the Sound United products that they've been playing with has been very, very good. They're pleased, thrilled with what they're seeing. So this is we really see this as a concept of the future, and not so important for the over-the-counter sales, retail sales, but for integrators, this can save a lot of money and create a lot of revenue. So which models? Anything that connects to the internet for 2018-19. So that's everything except our entry-level Denon piece. So the less expensive Denon pieces, we're not talking about it simply because it's just not something that's important for that world, but it's on the chipset, so it is available. So we're trying to keep the SRM, Marantz, and premium Denon CI-centric differentiator. And what about the premium models that were introduced prior to the new full line model launch this fall, which would be the AVR 8805 Pre-Pro, the flagship Denon, and the flagship Marantz? They will receive an update currently scheduled for later October, early November. So what can you do with the web setup and control? We've used this feature in the past. We had a system in place, but and it actually worked very, very well. But when we created the new HEOS networking module, it didn't natively support it. So we had to go back to square one, to the drawing board. And so we actually gave them the opportunity to go back and enhance its look, feel, and features. So we had one, continues to work, but now with the new Marantz receivers with the HEOS networked audio built in, they have a more sophisticated, smoother, more polished system built in. So you can, this is what we showed at CEDIA. So we were down there and we took control of an AV receiver up there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move forward. But in this particular conversation, I'm going to give you an idea of what you can do if you would like to explore the possibilities. We do have a system set up at Sound United that we can provide you with login information, and you can go in and take control or you know, operate the SRM and see exactly what you can do. If you would like to do that, let Rick know, let me know, let your AllNet account manager know, and we can get you the login information. But we don't publish it because the system is in Jeff Cowan's home, and we do ask that you be respectful of you know, not putting on Pink Floyd The Wall at 4 a.m. in the morning at full volume, or something along those lines. So when you go in, and you can do this with a tablet, a laptop, a phone, so you can operate power by zone, audio settings, video settings, you know, HDMI setup, you know, output settings, input settings, speaker settings. You can go in and pretty much do, you know, 80% of what you would do to set up an AVR. You can do it remotely. So 100% of the controls are not available yet. We're rolling them out in stages. So it's coming, and you'll see the red box there. It says, you know, this feature is not currently available and will be added soon via firmware update. So if it's not available, it'll tell you. And again, I would invite you to explore this, and certainly we can get you the information you need to do so. So that's kind of the overview of CEDIA and this year's line of AVRs. Because of time constraints, we didn't get into 2-channel audio. We didn't get into turntables. We didn't get into media streaming. We did not touch on HEOS. So there's a lot more stuff going on with Marantz and Sound United that we could talk about. But today, you know, I wanted to just focus on the things that we really that we focused on at CEDIA. So kind of a snapshot of CEDIA for those of you that weren't able to attend. So at this point, I'll ask Rick to jump back in and see if we have questions.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Mike. So yeah, we had a couple of questions about the small form factor receivers. So I heard that you mentioned that they have the same amplifier stages as the larger units. What's the difference between the full-size chassis units and the smaller chassis units for the same power output ranges?
Well, we'll go back and take a peek at that. Basically, the 50-watt amplifiers in the NR series are not going to have as big a power supply. They're not going to have as big of outputs. It's a 50-watt amplifier versus a 100 watt in the vast majority of the cases, anywhere from 100 to 125. But like the big amplifiers, they have low impedance drive capability. They do have very large power supplies. And let's see if we can get back there as I scroll. There we go. Whoops. And so as you can see, in the NR series, all 5 or all 7 channel amplifiers are equal power. So we're not running 2 large amplifiers for left and right, and then 3 little amplifiers or 7 little amplifiers. They are high current designs with a low impedance drive capability. And I don't have the specific specifications in front of me right here, but I can certainly get some information, and that info is available in Sound United University. So if somebody needs some specific information, that's where I'll go to grab it. But the bottom line is the quality of the sound in the small chassis pieces is the same level of quality. It's just not the same level of quantity. So it's for someone that wants a high performance system in a smaller space or at a lower volume. It's not an inferior sound to the big guys.
Okay, thanks. And we're seeing a lot of the dealers use these with like architectural speakers because they're usually fairly easy to drive and fairly efficient. And usually the customer that is asking for architectural speakers isn't asking for, something like the DefTech bipolars to shake the rafters of their home. So they probably don't need the same power output as the other customer.
Right.
Okay.
So yep.
All right. The next question is about HDMI. Are all of the HDMI inputs on the current Marantz line, are they all HDMI 2.0 HDR capable, or are there specific inputs that we want to make sure to use when we're using Apple TVs and other sources that are HDR capable?
I believe that's correct. I'm looking at the chart here, and so even the 1509 HDMI 2.0B and HDCP 2.2, I think that will do what the question asks. But if we need more information, I'll have to dig into that one. You'll hear me say this a lot. For 20 years, I've been a speaker guy, so I'm still on a steep learning curve on the electronics side.
Well, go forward a couple slides, because on this particular slide it says like 444, and yeah, that usually means they're full 18 gig.
Yep.
So okay, all right. There are other competing products on the market where at least one of the inputs does not support it. So okay, perfect. All right.
And if you can get me the contact info for who asked the question, I'll see to it that either I get the answer or I'll have someone that has the answer reach out to them.
Perfect. Okay, thanks. All right. Let me go back through. Control input. All of the models are fully capable of IP control with the the common players for control systems?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Do you have the capability to show web setup on screen?
For the remote management?
No, the setup, like the when you're doing when you're setting up the receiver in the house, like the initial setup during the installation.
Oh, for Odyssey and the setup screen. I don't have a slide on this on this deck, but it's in Sound United University, and it may be on the station, but I'm not sure on the station. But it is a very nice set of graphics. I just set up my daughter's SR 5013 a couple weeks ago, and it's you know, as you go through and set up, it does give you a full visual array of you know, surround speakers, for example, for DTSX or Dolby Atmos. It's you know, it gives you options of front wall placement or ceiling placement or reflective placement. So it's you know, and it's a very nice set of graphics.
Okay. Yeah, and I can add to that as well. So I've also set up Marantz systems since they've had the web setup, and also since they've had the immersive formats. And like Mike's saying, it's a graphic interface. So as you select 7.1.2, 7.1.4, whatever, it shows a graphic interface of where those speakers are coming from in the room, so that you can confirm that this is exactly. So you're setting it in the right mode. It's not just words on the screen. It's actually a graphic, so your technicians can verify, oh yes, there are supposed to be a pair of speakers, and they are located above me, or there's another pair of speakers, and like Mike's saying, they're located like on the top of the towers, like in the case of the DefTechs, so they're going to bounce off the ceiling, and so it's a reflected height channel and not a physical height channel. So it's a really nice setup.
Yeah, and all of the Marantz receivers do come with a calibrated microphone and mic stand, and with via the Odyssey setup, you'll be utilizing either 6 or 8 microphone placements, and Odyssey checks for bandwidth, for phase, for time, for delay. It will tell you, you know, and you know, with a series of tone bursts and sweeps. It will set up your entire system, and you know, including check for you know, if you've got a speaker or speakers wired out of phase, it will let you know. It's a very sophisticated, and it's a tremendous little system. I mean, the rig I set up with my daughters in her small apartment was the Marantz 5013 and a passive 5-channel definitive sound bar with the 5-channel surrounds built into the bar, and I've never heard that bar. You know, that bar has never sounded that good in a real room. The Odyssey figured out what was going on and dealt with it beautifully.
Okay, that's nice. I've not heard that bar ever, actually. So that's
yeah, it was the SSA 42, which was the only one that would fit into her piece of furniture. So,
well, I've personally used the 3-channel sound bars. I love those a lot. So, okay, Alexa voice control and Google Home voice control. What can and what cannot be controlled with the voice control? Are there any limitations that you're aware of?
Right now, HEOS will work with and for the Marantz receivers, we're specifically talking about HEOS integration at this point. So you would, via the HEOS app, you can operate rudimentary controls with Alexa. You can set the HEOS up as an Alexa zone, and it will give you fundamental source, volume up, volume down, power on, power off, and then that will expand with upgrades, updates that are coming. AirPlay 2 gives you access to Siri. As of today, the systems are not Google ready, but it is coming very, very soon. It is our intent to support all of the network systems and all of the voice activated systems. If you look at other brands in the Sound United family, we have Google active products, we have Alexa active products, and we have Siri active products. So we're not leaving anybody out. But right now, we haven't flipped the switch yet on Google. A lot of this has to do with the technology companies themselves of when they push their software firmware out to us. So our hardware is ready. It could be as soon as before the end of the year for Google, but it will be a component of the HEOS device built into the Marantz receiver.
Okay, thank you. All right. One more thing. This isn't a question that was posed, but I just want to clarify here. All of the product that we've discussed today, including the NR Series Slimline chassis, these are all the 3-year warranty, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. And, so I'm looking at the slide that you still have on the screen here. So the SR8012 has a toroid power supply, just like the separates, correct?
That's correct, and it's huge. It looks like a coconut cut in half. It's the 8012 with a chassis off is artwork, with individual amplifiers in a symmetrical out. We could do an hour on the 8012. It's beautiful.
So in your opinion, what is the time to go with the 8012 and what is the time to go with the separates? Is it just for space limitations and kind of the budget, or?
The biggest difference, the deal maker breaker would be if someone wants 13 channels, because the 8805 will do 13 channels of processing. The 8012 is 11, so that's one fundamental difference. But the acoustic difference is the 8805 is a world-class processor. The 8012 is probably one of, if not the best AV receiver you can buy sonically, but you still get the ability to upgrade with separates, where you get the isolation of the big power supplies are better isolated on separates, so it's going to be as the audiophiles like to say, blacker blacks. It's going to be quieter. And those that may be familiar with the previous generation 8802, which was the benchmark for upper mid pre-pros, there was almost 2,000 specific device changes between the 8802 and the 8805. So, and every single one was with the goal of enhancing musicality. So why go to separates? It's going to sound better and it's going to give you more flexibility. You can select the size and design of amplifiers that you want based on your personal taste. If someone is a Class A guy, if someone is a Class D guy, if somebody's a Class AB guy, they like tubes. The beauty of a pre-pro is you can run and actually mix and match amplifiers to fit the bill. So obviously it's going to be a more expensive path, but it's stunning how many AVR 8805s we sell. It is the sweetheart of the rodeo.
All right, thanks, Mike. If anyone else has any questions, please feel free to pose them in the chat box here under the questions tab. I think we're out of the questions, Mike. So anything else you'd like to cover quickly?
No, I just again want to say thanks to everyone for their time. If anyone has any specific questions for me, I can be reached at Michael, MICHAEL, .Dyer, DYER, at SoundUnited, all one word, .com. And again, if I don't have the answers, I'll get them.
All right, thanks, Mike. And I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to join us today. Again, this presentation, along with all of our other presentations, is archived, and it'll be uploaded on the YouTube channel, which is AllNet Distributing, and then the letter U, AllNet Distributing U. And expect this one to be up. It'll be up before next week. And if you have any members of your staff who you think could benefit from seeing the presentation, please feel free to forward the link. I will share the link with everyone. I will do that on the invitation to next week's sessions. So we're going to just start doing that. Last week I sent out all the links to all the archived presentations from last quarter. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to start including the links for like the last 3 or 4 weeks. So please feel free to share these with your the other members of your team. We would love to see the traffic light up on our YouTube channel. And also, if you're, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel and friending or following our social media profiles, which are all under AllNet Distributing. Our Facebook is usually the most active, but we've got a Twitter and an Instagram as well. So thank you everyone for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you next week. We're going to go ahead and end the presentation now. Mike, thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks to everyone. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.